morning to all you stitchers out there. It's 39 degrees Fahrenheit here in Lehi, Utah, going up to a high of 41 degrees. So it's 3 degrees Celsius right now and going up to a high of 5 Celsius. That's a lot better than what we've had previously. We were in the 00 digits for Celsius. It was pretty cold here for a while, but we're warming up again a little bit. We've had off and on snowstorms, but the weather's supposed to clear up for the next week and a half or so, so I'll be glad for that. In my plans, I'll let you know the reason why I'm glad that it's clearing up a little bit. I'm Colette the Highway Stitcher. I'm here to give you my stitching from the highway and at home, and hope that you enjoy yourself. This probably won't be a very long one. I'm trying to do weekly again so that I cut down on my time and it's easier for me to do all of my editing and downloading and all of that. So anyway, I'm going to go right on to my projects. Oh, after I say one thing, I've had some new subscribers, so thank you very much. Grateful for you. Hope you find something that you like and see here. I'm an eclectic stitcher. I've mentioned that before, so I like all kinds of stitching. In fact, on my planning book for this year, I decided that I would use different micron pens and put down, like if it's a sampler, I'm using one color of the micron pen. If it's full coverage, I'm using another. And I thought that was kind of fun because then I can see how much just by looking at the colors, I can see how much I spend on different types of stitching. So anyway, if you enjoy something like that, come join me. And I'm thankful to all of you who are still subscribing and enjoying. So anyway, move on to what I've done. I have one FO and worked on several WIPs. Did pretty well this week on my plans that I had told you about last week. So I will go on with that when I go to plans. But anyway, I did find, which I had mentioned to you, my last Lizzie Kate, the December one. So I finished it up this week. For some reason, it took longer than I thought it would, so it pushed me back on my other WIPs that I was going to work on during the week. So one of my planned WIPs that I wanted to work on did not get worked on. But be that as it may, this is now finished. This was my last flip it. I think it turned out cute. So now I have them all done. Might as well open this up and show you. I've been cutting off sections and as you can see, I have September through December here in this one. So I will be cutting those apart and putting them together. Last week, on my last week's video, which was 76, if you refer back to that, I showed you the block of wood and how I would be putting these monthly flippets together. So anyway, we'll see how I do on the FFOing. That's always my bad part, or whatever you want to call it. I'm not always really good at fully finishing. I'm good at finishing. I love to finish up my stitches, but not always the greatest on continuing on with fully finishes. This, by the way, was stitched on 32 count Vintage Country Mocha, Kim, on the right side. And it is with not called for. By the time I got to this one, most of my flosses, there's 2 in here I think that are the call for. I've been having to sub out flosses, but I'm all right with that because I like what I've been getting for my colors, and it's not that big of a deal. So I think there were 2 called, the rest were subbed. If you happen to have this pattern and want to know, my email will be below. Feel free to email me. I do answer my emails, and I will scrounge together. I still have them together on a floss ring, so I should be able to tell you what I used. So that was my FO. Okay, on to my WIPs. The last of the temperature topography was done this week. I only had R left to do, and I finished up on Sunday, and so now it's done. This is temperature topography. It's one of the yearly temperature pieces that Stitching Mommy does, Sarah. And this one I really loved this one. So and it was really fun. So I'll show you my finish. All done. Now I just have to decide the last little bit that I want to add to it and what I want to do with it. Eventually, I'm going to put down at the bottom the city, the state, and my name, things like that. But, right now it is basically done. So it is a FO. As you can see from that R, it was pretty cold the last few days. I stitched this on a 32 count Be Stitch Me fabric called Peanut. It was one of my fabrics of the month from Be Stitch Me. And I used the 4-degree temperature variation for my DMC flosses. So anyway, it's all done. There she be, all pretty. So I think I mentioned this year. I think I'm I've been getting the colors together, and I'm going to start up on Sunday. I am doing a different temp sal, and it's a library with books, and I'm doing it more prim style colors. So I'm still, and like overdyed, so I'm still kind of pulling my colors together. I tried 1 or 2 colors, and I wasn't happy with them. So I'm kind of still feeling around for it. That's the only bad thing about doing one that isn't Sarah's because she has all the colors down and you can just jump with it. But this one I've had to kind of play around. But I think I'm going to like it as I've always kind of wanted to do a library type of one. I love to read. And so we'll see how that goes. It'll just take a little more organizing and trying out things and maybe dumping things and then trying new things, and you know how that goes. So okay, on January 1st I had 2 new starts. I had mentioned to you last week, if you watched that, I'm doing a birth sampler start and a wedding cross stitch. My niece is expecting a baby in March, my sister's daughter. And my nephew, my sister's son, is getting married in April. So I am working on these pieces to get them done and to get them FFO'd totally. And I'll try to show them to you before I take them down to their respective recipients. So on January 1st, I started first the burst sampler. It's called Gabrielle Rose, but I'm just going to refer to it as a burst sampler from now on. It's by La Di Da. Gabrielle Rose was the actual person that they used for it, but of course I have to wait until Charlene, that's my niece, has her baby and find out what she names her. It is going to be a girl. That's why I chose this one. I really, really liked it, and I think she will too. And the colors, the actual colors for this, I thought I was going to have to sub out colors because I asked her colors, and actually they're much the same as this sampler, so I haven't had to change out any colors, which is great. So I'm stitching this on a 32 count Barn Owl by, let's see, it's a different designer, Linens by Designs. I picked this up at Stitcher's Paradise in Las Vegas. Never actually, as you can see from the top, I should have looked at that. It says Linens by Designs, Barn Owl. Anyway, I haven't, it's a designer that I'm not familiar with fabrics. But anyway, this is how it's looking so far. I got 356 stitches into it for my New Year's start, which is great because I did another New Year's start beside it. So that was pretty good. Got the side border done. It's going to be a long piece, so I didn't get down very far. And I started the bird. So anyway, that's how it's looking so far. It will be a longer piece, but not too big. So I'm using the called for colors, by the way, if you're interested in looking at the burst sampler. So, but not the called for fabric. And then the other one I started and got over 300 stitches in it also is the wedding cross stitch that I'm doing for my nephew and his wife, his fiance. It's called Beyond Words, and what it is it's one where you design it, you create it by having the last name in lighter stitching behind the darker part which says families are forever, and then established, and that said 2004, because I got this a long time ago. I did this for all of my kids when they got married, and then I kind of passed the stash to a good friend, and she was doing it for all of her nieces and nephews. And I asked her, I said, hey, can I have this back for a little bit, and then I'll pass it back to you? And she goes, oh yeah. She says, I don't have anybody in the works for another year or so. And I said, okay, that'll work good for me. So she was very nice. Kathy, thank you so much. She did the actual designing of this for me and then gave it back to me. So I already have that all done, and I was able to just start on it right away. So it is being stitched on Luminous Fiber Arts fabric. Let's see, a 32 count Sparrow. As you can see, that has some modeling to it. So, and I'm doing it in 2 colors because that's generally how it's worked. And that side of the family, the fiance, said that these were the colors that she wanted, and Dustin liked them too. So it's Anchor Black, and which is 310, of course. And let's see, the other color is, kind of a rose color, and it's 3688 DMC. So it will be all of those colors. So I got a good start on this one too. It's 2/2, just as the burst sampler is. 2 threads, linen threads over 2 fabric threads. So those are my 2 New Year new starts. I had other ideas for New Year's new starts, and following other people's some of their sales they were going to do and everything else, but I knew I had to really get started on these and get them done, so that was the reason why they were New Year new starts. So on to the rest. One of my other plans, which I did accomplish, was working on my section, or the next section of My Home in the Garden, the January section. This is by Hello from Liz Matthews. This is a cell that I'm doing with Brenda Hamwork Maniac and Kim Storr. We were the ones that kind of started it. There's been several other people who have jumped on board, several of our Utah Stitcher friends and others. And we have a hashtag on Instagram called Garden Stitching Cell. So anyway, I've been stitching this. Oh, one other thing. If you watch Brenda, she has it broken up into sections. So we are doing a section a month, and our month goes from the 15th of the month to the next 15th of the month. So our section for this month, we started in October and we'll finish them. It's a yearly one. We have 12 sections. So our section for this month was, for this 30 days to the 15th was here. So I finished that section. Man, oh man, I didn't count the stitches, but I know it was a lot. It was probably, I did count them. I have them in my other journal, but the journal isn't with me. But boy, I know that I was doing 700 one night and 600 another, and then I still had some more. So it's got to be 1,600 stitches or so for that section, mostly because of all the border, which was quite a few stitches. So anyway, I'm doing mine on the called for fabric. Just folded this up so it wouldn't show through with the light. This is a Be Stitched Me fabric from my fabric of the month also, and it's a 32 count called Not Another Sampler. So should we say Not Another Sampler color? Anyway, I like it. It's very subtle, like Lakeside Linen. Just a little, you can barely tell that there's just little shades of different color in there. More of a cream or a sampler, like color look. And I'm using the Gloriana Silks on this, which I love, 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 love. So, and because this is 32, I'm doing 2 linen threads over 2 floss threads. 2 floss threads over 2 linen threads. I was going to do 40 count because I wanted it a little smaller, but I couldn't find a fabric that I liked as much. I was veering more towards this color, and I really liked it when I saw her picture. So I decided, oh well, I'll just do 32. It's not like it's a huge project. So Let's see if there's anything else on this one. Nope, that's it. I did finish that one up, and since I'm the fearless leader for the group, it needs to be finished up by the 15th, so I hustled and got it done before the 15th. Okay, the next thing I worked on was my, I'm doing WIPGO, the bingo brainchild of Jessie Marie. It's Facebook group, and you'll hear probably a lot about that. If you want to find out about it, go to the WIPGO, WIPGO Facebook page, and it is a challenge group that you can join, and it basically is a bingo board. This is my bingo board. As you can see, I have marked off 2 and 19, and funny enough, my 2 and my 19 are both the same piece. At the top, you can see I just kind of did this fast. I didn't type it up on a professional this year like I did last year. I was busy finishing up some of my other challenges. So this is handwritten out, but at the top, if you can read it, it says my sampler WIPGO year. So what I'm doing is I'm pulling samplers that I started in years past. Some of them are Stitch Mania starts, samplers. Some are ones that I just loved. Other ones are ones I was doing as sales with people and just got hung up and didn't do anything more with them. And I'm also including Long Dog and Quaker Motif ones for this because I consider them samplers, even though other people maybe don't. So anyway, my first two days that were pulled are both the same piece, which is a Quaker Motif sampler called Panoply of Posies. Okay. I found this at Stitchville in Minnesota when I went to when Farm Girl had her original Midwest cross-stitch retreats in 2018, I believe. Maybe it was 2019, I don't know. This was in the discount bin way in the back. Kind of not really, it's kind of an unassuming looking pattern, but the thing that grabbed me on this pattern was right up at the top there. It says DAR in big letters. I'm a member of the Daughters of the American Revolution, which the symbols are DAR. And I got an idea in my mind that I wanted to fly with, and thought that I could maybe pull out some of the motifs, put in some other words, kind of change it, prim style it with red, white, and blues, but in prim colors. So I had all these ideas. So I started this up 2 years ago, I think in the 2019. I'd have to check now. It was either 2019 or 2020 Stitch Mania. And started it there, but did not get a whole lot done. So I put this into my WIPGO, and it will also go into my daily 30 yearly Animal Adventures challenge when I finish up another piece. So, and I'm stitching it on 32 count vintage country mocha, Kim. I'm not trying to give you a hard time, but it just seems like everything I've got that I've been stitching on lately is a vintage country mocha. That's not really anything for sure. Any thoughts for sure on that, but that's what it happens to be, at least for this month. Anyway, here's the colors that I'm using. I am using five overdyes, Classic Colorworks and Gast. If you're interested in knowing what they are, I can probably tell you them off the top of my head, but I cannot tell you the actual company. I'm using Blacksmith Blue, which I believe is Classic Colorworks. I'm using Dungarees for the blues, and I'm using Cherry Bark for one, and I can't remember the other one now. Cherry Bark. Oh well. And then I'm using Bamboo for the prim for the white. And so this is what I got accomplished this time for working towards my WIPGO was actually finishing up those letters there and the DAR. So I got 456 stitches into it. And I'm really liking this. It's just really coming to life. Just love it. Absolutely love it. And I love it on this fabric. It's just one of my favorites. So I'll be working on that again this month, several times to get my WIPGO goal taken care of. And that's 2 floss threads over 2 linen threads. And I'm losing my voice, so some water, please. Okay, one other. I brought my planner with me, one of my planners. I'm using the Needlework Press Planner too, the Sampler Years one, Needlework Years, but I didn't bring that in. That's where with that one I put my finished pieces in and the amount of stitches I did. This one I put down my plans and all of my challenges. So, okay, this is for a challenge. What I'm going to show you next is for a challenge called 2022 Eras Events in full coverage phonetics. So this is a full coverage chart I'll be showing you project. And with this one, it's non-counting, so I don't have to worry about how many stitches I put in per month. And what you do is you take the month and then you pick something themed for that. And in January, we were prehistoric. So one of the things for prehistoric was the oldest chart or oldest project. So Ariadne was my very first full coverage piece I picked up way before, or started way before Pattern Keeper and all the nice things that make it so much easier to do full coverage. So when I show it to you, you'll understand that. Amazingly, when I looked at this, I have over 17,000 stitches done on this, but this has a lot of stitches. It's a full coverage that is like 350 by 525. I mean, that's not the hugest that they have, but it is bigger than my lace maker, so it has lots more stitches than lace maker, so it doesn't have as much done as the lace maker does. But I like the idea. I've been excited about picking this piece up again and working on it some, because I've been doing it with Pattern Keeper now, and the last few months that I have been working on it. Here it is. I am stitching it on a 20 by 20 gridded fabric. That was the only kind I could find when I first started up. It was the only one available. I couldn't find a 10 by 10, and I was really scared to start gridding on my own. So I got the 20 by 20, which sometimes throws me for a loop. I've had to, because when I'm on Pattern Keeper, I've had to like pull out stitches a few times because I have to remember that this is 20 by 20 instead of 10 by 10 blocks. The first 2 pages, of course, were done totally just block by block. I didn't even, at that time, I was scared to do parking or anything else, so I just kept working on the page to do a page finish and marking it with my marking pen. When Pattern Keeper came out and I downloaded it and colored, marked in all the stuff that I had to mark in to complete it, then I started moving off and just doing from the top down or however else I wanted to do it. So this month I decided to do like what I'm doing with Lace Maker. So I got 225 stitches, not a whole lot, but every little bit counts. So all of this had already been done with Pattern Keeper on down here. I decided I kind of wanted to carry across and then maybe work my way down. Not sure if I'm going to continue that, but anyway, we'll see. So I did this little color here along the top to fill in, and then I started that little color and that little color, and then that and that, and then there's a circle. I had a little bit left of this, so I did the circle and on across. So that's what I accomplished for Ariadne. Since it's a non-counting event, that's fine. And I always do my full coverages, usually 1/1 on 25 count, full cross. So that's what I got done this week. And I pretty much was working on stitching all week. I didn't even pick up my lace on Tuesday. Classes hadn't started yet, so I just continued stitching, even though I really did want to start working on it again. So even with all of that, all of this took up all of my time. A lot of it was because I was backlogged on the Lizzie Kate and had to get it done and then move on to other challenges. So Santa Stops Here had to be put aside for now. But the rest of the goals I did, plans from last week I did do. Okay, this week for my plans, I'm picking up my 3 whips for Animal Adventures. I can just show you the little thing I copied off. That's a daily 30 yearly challenge that they did. Last year it was Zombie Run. This year it's Animal Adventure. So I have it copied here and reduced for my planner. We had to post the 3 patterns or projects WIPs that we were going to work on during the year for the Animal Adventure Challenge. If you want to find out more about it, you can go on, but it is a closed group for now. They will have openings later, I am sure. Anyway, my 3 pieces that I picked to do were 3 of my previous zombie pieces, because again, I want to get these finished. First one is Emerald City by Alforce Designs. And last year, when I started Zombie Run, their other yearly one, I only had down there just that house and the tornado and Dorothy, maybe. No, wait a minute. I take that back. I had most of the first row up through the Scarecrow. So the rest of this got done just from the challenge during the year, which I'm pretty happy about. The Oz City itself threw me for a loop a few times. I don't know. I kept trying different ways of doing it, and then I kept ripping out. So I guess it was just a froggy piece. Don't ask me why. But now I am done pretty much, except for a few specialty stitches in there, so I can move on to some of the other motifs. So anyway, I'll be doing this for the Animal Adventure yearly challenge, which is this is a familiar piece to you. So I'm going to work on that piece, get at least 300 stitches done this week, if not more. Second one is also one from the Zombie Run, Harriet Elizabeth Coe by Brenda Gervais. This was also Stitch Mania that I'm trying to finish up. It's very close to being finished from the work I did on Zombie Run last year, the yearly challenge. So I will also do at least 300 stitches on this. More than likely, I'm going to fill in the rest of those flowers down at the bottom to complete the whole border because it looks unfinished. So I'll do that first and then probably move to a motif. At least 300 stitches this week on it. I'll move on to more later. And this is being stitched on a 28 count Picture This Plus Fog. And I'm using the Cold 4 overdyes. Most of them I think were guessed or weeks. So that was my second one that I put down for Animal Adventure, a previous Stitch Mania. The third one is not a Stitch Mania. It's the one I'm working on for my granddaughter, my oldest granddaughter, Marie. It's Garden Prelude by Mirabilia. So that one will be an Animal Adventure also. So I'm going to do 300 stitches at least on her. Work some more on that dress. That dress is huge, the bottom part of it. I'm guessing since I got quite a bit done down below there, I'll probably work right here, work my way down here for my 300. So, love this piece. This is on 32 count Picture This Plus Demoiselle, kind of a light, subtle purples, blues, greens, and I'm using the Call for DMC. And I am not doing the background of the flowers or the archway. Just doing the violinist, which my granddaughter is. She's a very accomplished violinist, so I thought, no, I'm just doing that. I'm gonna just keep it emphasized on the violin. And it's 2 floss threads over 2 linen threads. So I'll be working on those this week, and then also I'm picking back up Lace Maker to get started on the challenge for the 22,000 stitches in 2022. So you are all familiar with this one. Let me see. I actually have a picture of what they. It was just a little something where you could like cross out what you did, what they put for the 22,000 in 2022. So I figured out I have about 1,800 stitches a month to keep up with it without going crazy at the end. So see if I can do that. And of course, this is what last year's looked like. So I'll be starting up fresh. It says 21,000 on my pattern keeper, so I'll start up with that and go up to 21, 31, 40, 43,000. This is also 25 count Even weave Lugana, I'm grading it myself, and one floss thread. It's 1/1 full cross. This one I'm trying for 500 to 600 this week. Okay, and my plans, well, those were my plans for next week, except also I'm going to do more lace on Tuesday this time. So I'm still going to try to do those plans there and also work on my lace sled. And I also have a minky blanket that I'm working on, that I'm going to do for my niece for the baby shower, because I'm going to be going to a baby shower in at the end of January. So it's going to be kind of, let's see, this color and then kind of these clouds. It's kind of hard to see though because I have it together so that I can just start sewing it. So if I do get it sewed, all the way sewed, I will show it to you next week. And then I want to let you know that next week I'm leaving next Wednesday for a retreat in Phoenix at the Attic. It's called Sampler Symposium. Pretty excited about it. And so what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to be in the hotel on Thursday night before the symposium starts on Friday. It goes Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And so I will do a short video of if I got this stuff accomplished that I wanted to get accomplished. And then on the weekend, I'll try to give you some plans next week too at the hotel about what I'm going to be doing over the weekend, because it probably would be a whole lot different than what I normally work on. And so that's my plans for this week, and hopefully I'll be able to check up with you next week at the hotel. If not, I'll see you in 2 weeks. And before I end, I've got a daily gratitude to do. This one says, there is nothing like returning to a place that remains unchanged to find the ways in which you yourself have altered. So in a way, that's like going back to old homes, old areas that you lived in, states, whatever else, and finding that maybe they didn't change, but that you've changed. And so, you know, hopefully for the better. That's been kind of on my mind a little bit. I don't know, last few days I've been thinking about, maybe because I was watching old movies and stuff, but thinking about how I've changed through the years. But sometimes when I go back to the places that I was at, sometimes they've changed a lot, and then other times they haven't changed any. So I'm hoping that if I could give you any advice, try to change for the better. You know, if you go back and see something that previously you haven't seen for years and years, hope that your change for yourself is a change for the better. So with that, hope you guys all have a great stitchy week. Love to you always. You know, take care of yourselves, be safe, whatever you're doing. And I'll see you next week, I hope, if not in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.